Hey guys, it's Frosty here and welcome to my Total War Warhammer 2 unit guide. Now I say Total War Warhammer 2, this can go on for Warhammer if you're only playing on that, or Warhammer 3 that's about to be released. Now this is a beginner's guide, okay, for those people who are struggling a bit when it comes to battles, and I can see why, because the variety in the Warhammer franchise is massive, okay. Now if you're coming from another Total War game, say Rome or something, etc., or Attila, now the units in them are pretty similar. Yeah, they've all got different names, this and that, but when it comes down to the battlefields, it's pretty straightforward. You know what your units are there for, and you know what can counter other units. But when it comes to Warhammer, then the amount of units and, well, everything in a battle can change so quickly, and the amount of units there are in the game, it can be quite flustering when you're trying to point the right unit to the right, well, to the right counter then, so to speak, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a few bits and bobs that I like to use. You know, I'm gonna just go through it step by step, so bear with me. So if you are one of those guys out there who just get a bit flustered, which is completely understandable, because it can take a lot to get used to Warhammer, especially the battles, you know, when you've got a herd of giants coming down and you haven't got the right equipment to deal with them giants or monsters, etc., then you lose in battles that you think you shouldn't be losing. Then it can get very frustrating, okay? So, without further ado, let's get into it. Right guys, so what I thought I'd do, we jump into custom battle, go over a few bits and bobs, and then I'll jump into a battle and I'll show you how you can tell if you're getting a good matchup in the battle itself. And what do I mean by matchup? Well, simple as, I mean giving the unit you click on the best chance of winning that engagement, okay? And for example, there's no good putting up a swordsman against a Vargulf, okay? You got better chance if you put up, say, halberdier against a Vargulf, okay? Do you get what I mean? And the reason being is because of the anti-large armor piercing damage, okay? So this is what you gotta take out of this, is majority of the time anything with spears, okay, or anything like that, is they're anti-large, okay? Now anti-large is anything from cavalry up to monsters, okay? Now that doesn't mean that this spear unit is going to do good against a high tier monster with high armor, okay? You know what I mean? Because with something with high armor, you're going to have to need that special trait, and that is armor piercing. So you're better off using something like a halberdiers. Now, it doesn't matter if I say about anti-large in the Empire, because if anti-large in the Empire means exactly the same as anti-large in the Chaos, okay, or Lizardmen, or High Elves, or Dwarfs, it really doesn't matter, okay? Everything is exactly the same. It means exactly the same throughout the throughout it, okay? Now also as well, what you've got to understand is when it comes to cavalry units, okay, now you got let's have a take a you got anti-infantry, okay, and you got anti-large. So let's just take the Demi Griff Knight. You got the Demi Griff by as you can see on the right hand side by eyes, armor piercing, but it's anti-infantry, okay? Now they're going to do good against anti-infantry, okay? But if another cavalry unit such as this Demi Great Knight halberds, okay, have anti-large, then they're going to have a lot better chance beating the anti-infantry. So there's no point in trying to counter a Reichsguard with, say, a Blood Knight, because a Blood Knight is anti-large. A Reichsguard is going to lose that battle all the time, because it's not anti-large, it's anti-infantry. Anti-large is horses from above, so their Blood Knight's job is to kill other cavalry plus monsters, okay? And it's the same, it goes through all down like dwarfs, okay? So what I mean by this now is, instead of just knowing your units, you're better off knowing what faction you're going to be fighting against, okay, in the campaign, and preparing for that. So with the Empire now, one of his main enemies, especially at the beginning, okay, is going to be the vampires, okay? And the vampires can be very overwhelming. They can create armies out of nothing, and they can, you know, come in hordes sometimes, and they can be an absolute pain, okay? So you, instead of looking at what kind of units they got, but the traits of the units, and because like I said, like this anti-large bear is exactly the same as the one in the Empire, okay? Look at kind of what faction it is. Is it a monster-based faction? Is it an infantry-based faction? Is it your archer-based faction, like the High Elves? I mean, what's their strengths and what's their weaknesses, okay? And then by learning them strengths and them weaknesses, you can learn to prepare from that. Okay, so let's have a look at the vampire counts then, okay? The vampire counts... weaknesses, if they're vulnerable to fire, okay, so if you have the ability to bring some sort of bright wizard for fire, bring that. You have the ability to bring units with fire, bring that, you know what I mean, dragons, anything like that, to hell down, to smash down a hell lot of fire on, and that they're vulnerable to fire. They have no archers, they have no artillery, I think that's really about it, really, and they haven't got the best infantry units then, okay? But, so you know though, so if you're a heavy artillery faction such as the Empire, the Dwarfs, the Skaven or something like that, okay, then you're going to have to bring those strengths to the fight. You know, do you get what I mean? So was there strengths? Well, they have the strongest magic in the game. They can have some of the strongest lords in the game. Heroes, even though their infantry is not the best, they have the ability to fight to the right end. So in other words, they don't rout, so there is very grindy front line when it comes to the vampire counts. They have, if not one of the best cavalry units in the game, they have a small variety of monsters and flying units. So when it comes to aerial combat, the chances are they'll have they'll be in charge in the air, and they also have the ability to regenerate, okay? Like the Vargulf has the ability to regenerate, so if you don't kill it and it runs off, it's going to keep coming back and back and back, and it can be an absolute pain. So yeah, so that's kind of it, okay? So you're just better off learning the factions. So if I was Empire now and I was up against the Dwarfs then, for instance, okay? Now, as you can see, even the low-tier dwarf units, okay, have high armor. So I'm going to need to bring a lot of armor-piercing damage, and so if I was the Empire, I would be bringing stuff with armor-piercing damage, such as handgunners. You know, I mean, not all of them will be armor piercing, but I'll try and bring as much as I possibly can, because then it won't make no difference in how much armor they got. As long as I got that armor piercing damage, it's gonna kill the units, okay? So let's have a look at, say, Britonia. Okay, now Britonia now infantry are absolute rubbish, okay? So what have they got? Okay, well, pretty much cavalry. That's it, okay? They got the best cavalry in the game, if they, you know what I mean? There's, well, the best variety of cavalry, you know what I mean? So what do you think would be best for that? You know what I mean? You'd have anti-large. You know what I mean? You'd bring a lot of spear units, you know what I mean? Maybe a couple of armor-piercing damage units as well. They've only got one set of siege equipment, and that is the trebuchets. Do you get what I mean? So you outnumber them in artillery units, you outnumber them in missile units, infantry. You have got better infantry in them, so your infantry would stand better to fight the fight. Do you get what I mean? So that's what you've got to look for. So let's have a look at Skaven. Okay, now if we are fighting against a Skaven, what have the Skaven got? Well, the chances are, if you don't count, they're always going to ambush you, okay? That's in the campaign anyway. But they've got really good artillery, a good variety of monsters and beasts. I wouldn't say the best missile infantry again, but these weapon teams can be absolutely devastating to infantry, and large as well, as you've got the Warlock Giselles, but there. Its armor piercing damage is a good damage dealer, so if you've got like big monsters coming towards you, so you're fighting against say the lizard men or something like that, these, you know what I mean, they got 275 range, so you can take a lot of that damage off. You get what I mean? The same as rattling guns, they haven't got the longest range, but they've got extremely high armor piercing damage. Yeah, they're anti-infantry, okay, but it's going to do a lot of damage still regardless, because of that armor piercing damage against large units. And the Jezils, I'd say, is a damage dealer, so get what I mean? So they got a nice few well, new monsters now, haven't they, with the new update? But yeah, I hope you get what I mean, guys, okay? Now, there's so many different varieties on here, but you just got to put them under the same kind of category, okay? It's like if you're fighting against the high elves, you know what I mean? Now, high elves, if they bring a lot of archers, they're going to beat you all the time, okay? Because their archers are exceptional. It's the same as the wood elves. They're going to beat you at range, okay? But there's one thing they do lack is artillery. So if you are the Empire, if you are the dwarfs, or if you are someone with high amounts of artillery, use that artillery to outrange then those units. Do you get what I mean? So what we're going to do now, I hope I've explained that, okay, guys? Let me know in the comments down below if you think I've missed anything out, okay, that you think that it could benefit anyone, okay? Because I want, you know, just to help you guys out, you know, in the battlefields, okay? It's because it can be very frustrating. So anyway, enough wobbling on now, because I do tend to wobble on. So let's I tell you what, let's go back to the vampire counts, okay? Let's go back to the beginning. Right, what we're gonna do now, we're gonna auto-generate an army, okay? There we are. Okay, auto-generate an army. Now I'm gonna try and build an empire army now to counter this army, okay? Now, first things first, I'm gonna have Karl Franz. Right, let's do this. Karl Franz, but I'm not gonna put him on Deathclaw, and the reason being, I'm gonna keep him off it actually, is because they got air superiority. They got 3 units of Vargeists plus Felbass. If I got Karl Franz up in the air with Deathclaw, they're gonna take him out. I'm gonna spend majority of the battle flying around the battlefield trying to keep out of the way of the Vargeists, alright? So you want to bring those flying units down to the ground where they're more vulnerable. Okay, so they've got great swords. So we bring some great swords. Oh, first things first, oh sorry. Let's get a fire wizard. Are we going to put him though on a horse? Not on a flying unit, mind, because otherwise, like I say, we haven't got air superiority. Let's have a look. Oh, I need a lord. Let's bring an empire captain. He can stay on the ground as well. So let's bring 4 lots of them. We're going to bring some big pokey things as well. Halberds, right? 2, 3, 4. Okay. Say then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll bring one of them. Armor piercing, one of them, just for a bit of variety, okay? And just have a look. And just for some fun, we're gonna bring some Demi Griff Knights, okay? Now, when you look at this army now, and you look at this army, okay, they got the regeneration there, but we got a lot of different things that are going to benefit us, such as ranged units, okay? So that's going to smash up the infantry. That is going to try and hit the bigger units, such as the Lord, etc. You know what I mean? You've got the big pokey stickies by here for the anti-large, and some great swords for anti-infantry. We got the fire then, because they're vulnerable to fire, so we can burn them up there. And we got these then just to hold the ground, you don't get stuck in, okay? So let's start the battle, and then I'm going to show you then how the best way is to match things up, okay? Right then, guys, I'm going to show you now how I set up, okay? Now, always use the ground to your advantage as well, okay? Like I always do. Okay, so we get these up here. They should be pretty much... Okay. Right. Now, I do this from multiplayer online, okay? I'll never keep all my infantry units in one line, okay? I think I'm out the bit. For one specific reason, if I put everything in a line and they hit me with a wind of death, then I'm screwed. So we're going to put these by up, okay, and we're going to put these behind you for now. The reason being is you want these chances are these flying units are going to fly over your infantry and go straight into your artillery units, so it'd be nice to have some anti-large there just in case, okay? And then you want anti-large then obviously on the sides as well, okay? And those anti-large then are going to counter any cavalry units coming up, and these ones then are going to counter any flying infantry flying units coming over the top, okay? Now then you just want to spread these out then, okay? Don't keep them together in a line, because you're asking for them all to get destroyed. And I'll show you the reason why now. Okay. Now if we look at this now, we get them up there as well. Now if we look at this now by here, you can see now, if flying unit come over here, okay, we got either that or that to help, okay? Plus then we got that to help that and that to help that, okay? Now the same as well, if flying units come over and hit that, we got that to help that, we got that to help that, shoot them. Do you get what I mean? Everything is covered. So if we got flying unit come over by that to get this, okay, we got this to counter it, and we've got anti-large by that to counter it as well, okay? And then we got the anti-infantry at the front end to push forward, keep them back while our artillery do the work. So I make it sound easy, I know, guys, but we'll see how bloody easy it is now when I start the battle, is it? So let's do that then, and we'll go from there. But my point is, anyway, sorry, is just make sure every unit is accounted, okay? Now if I put that by hand now, like right next to him, okay, and flying unit come over, it doesn't just take one out then, it takes the 2 units out. Do you get what I mean? So, but if you spread them out, then you know you've only got one, but then you got one then to counter the other. So, let's start the battle anyway. Okay, now, when you, right, let's pause it now, okay? So when I click on a unit now, see on the opposite side of the battlefield, you'll have exclamation marks above the unit. That means now that the chances are, if this unit goes up to, with any one of them units, okay, the chances are it's going to win that battle. Okay, now if I put that on there, great swords there, anything, as you see by our red, don't put them against that. Anything with green, that's fine. And that's how you match it up. Green against green, okay? Always get it green against green. Don't put it against red unless you have no choice. And if you have a no choice, try to back it up with something. So for instance, if this unit comes over here now, okay, and hits this unit, try and give that unit a bit of help by maybe covering it with some fire, okay? With some armor-piercing fire from the handgunners. So, and then what we do then, especially like if you're playing on the lower difficulties, you have the ability to pause the game. Okay?
Ready for war!
I mean, are you using the Empire's uses the Empire's advantage against them now, because they haven't got cavalry, so you can do some damage before they even come to you. Do you get what I mean?
Quick march! The winds blow hot. For the Emperor! For the
That's all you got to do is get ready to prepare. So you can see that now. They're coming around by here, okay? So I'm going to move them around now. So they're all green, look. They're anti-large. They're black knights. They're anti-large. Armor piercing. So I'm going to cover that with them, okay?
Our steeds are restless. Handgunners. By Ulrich's wrath.
So I got the flank covered now.
The Empire endures.
Let's get him up here. Balls that up a bit. Let them do the damage, look. We're going to counter them down by hand now with these. Because they're going to come in now. Let's get them in it.
For the Warhammer! At speed! Halberdiers! For the Emperor! Now! Great swords! Take position! By Ulrich's wrath! Attack! No lingering!
Right.
For the Comet! Ready!
Right, get them in it.
Sigmar guides us!
Shoot them.
Handgunners! For Heldenhammer!
Let's just
Charge!
lay down the fire. Let's get them into the Fellbats.
The Empire endures! Back to order! Great cannon!
So it's just a green on green.
Fight! Halberdiers! Yes, General! Sigma! For the Warhammer! To battle! Find the enemy!
Oh,
Yes!
is he back? Yeah, he's back. Good man. Yeah, this battle maybe I've not got the best guys, but you get my point, okay?
Missile infantry! Ready for war! Show us the foe!
Always have something you can counter with.
Bright wizard!
They do not like fire.
Burn everything! Mulligan march! For Heldenhammer! At speed! Moving faster! Sigmar!
Turn fire.
Preservers! Missiles ready! We are Sigmar's heirs! Halberdiers! Quick march! To me, men! Handgunners! Yes, sir! For the Emperor! Attack!
There we are.
Yes, General!
So always try your best to keep
To battle!
everything away then, so to speak, apart, so you can have a few kind of fires from every direction. Well, firing from every direction, so to speak. Really, I've got to start making more sense.
Rule is absolute! Great swords! Ah! War! Sigmar command! Halberdiers! Standing by! War! The Heldenhammer! I will not stand idle! Prepare for combat! Ranged weapons ready!
There we are. Might took a little bit more damage than I'm used to, but you get what I mean, okay, guys? Let it all go now. Right, there we are. If you want to replay that, guys, it's up to you, just to see how I done it. This is basically just anything with green, just keep green, okay? That's it. Right then guys, I'm going to leave it there. I think this video's gone on a bit long enough for you, so I hope you get the idea, okay? Just remember now, just learn the factions, what their strengths and weaknesses. So if you're on the campaign map, you fight if you're the dwarves, you've got to come up against a lizard man. Just understand the lizard men, they're going to have a lot of they're going to have a lot of monsters. So bring a lot of anti-large, bring a lot of armor piercing, you know what I mean? The ability to take them down from a distance and stuff like that. Once you've got, because if you're going to be rocking around with, say for instance, you're playing against a vampire council, you're just going to be rocking around with an army of great swords. You're not going to get that far because they ain't going to be able to take down the monsters that you want them to take down, okay? So I hope this has helped, guys. I hope I haven't bored you too much, but I'll leave you to it now. If there's any questions or if you think I've missed anything out, leave in the comments down below. That could help someone else out, okay? Because obviously I don't know everything, so your opinion matters too. So I'll speak to you all soon, okay? Stay safe, and as always, keep it frosty.